Today, Chapter 9, User Productivity Tools. To me, the big user productivity tool that's in here is printers, being able to install and publish, distribute, allow people to use printers. The printing process, how do we manage when users can print? That's a big deal. I mean, it's kind of a big deal here because you get limited, I think, on the amount of paper, we do too, on the amount of paper that you can use, right?
Yeah.
So managing printers it really is a big deal everywhere. In this class, we're just going to install a little bit. We're going to learn how to install one, both to an IP address, and the IP address I'm going to give you is in the library. So you'll be able to actually install it there on your virtual machine. I don't think you can on the physical machines. And print a test page, and I want you to do that and give me the test page back. There's also an activity to install a network printer. When we get to that part, I want to try to make some distinctions that I've been taught about the Microsoft world for years that I don't think they make real clear in the book, or at least they don't in the PowerPoints. So printers, big deal here. Most of the rest of it is managing the fax capability, which is a real capability and something that you can do. So the first thing, understand and configure Windows printing, and they actually changed the process a little bit in the Vista Windows 7, Windows Server 2008 model. Understand Windows Fax and Scan. I want you to do a couple of activities just so you know that's there. That may be something that you do use at some point in time, because if you have to fax something and you don't want to go pay whoever for the faxing, although I realize there are free online fax services now, but if you want to do that, it does have the ability to answer fax calls and to send faxes. What you really do is print a document as a fax, or you can scan and fax. The answer as a fax is a good thing if you're getting a lot of telemarketers calling you in the evening. You can set it up as a fax machine, and all they'll get is the fax sync signal. And I found in the past when I had an actual phone line that that's a pretty good deterrent for those people. Windows Explorer libraries, you may or may not have done that. That's something they add. To me, it's just a handy way to get to resources. You can add libraries. There are the existing ones that Windows made for you, and then the ones that we can make. Find files by using search, and then this one, use search. Okay, that's really tough, right? Where are you going to search and go search for it? They're going to got an activity so that you can modify the index, and the index files are the ones that are going to be found quicker. The features in Internet Explorer 8, read that 9, read that 10, really hasn't. The features that they're talking about, the security features, haven't changed as it's gone from 8 to 9 to 10. 8 was the original that came in Windows 7. Upgraded to 9, and then I think last week didn't they, or at least mine at home, got upgraded to 10. Not real sure that I like it all that much, because now my wife's complaining about Facebook stuff doesn't show up. But now I got to go figure that one out. How many times when Windows updates do you think? How many man days do you think it causes every time it updates stuff like that? Just out of sheer frustration.
Someone's getting paid.
Somebody's getting paid. That's right. Hey, the thing to keep in mind about Windows, and you should love it, Windows is job security.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be something to fix on it. There's always going to be something to manage on it. There's going to be something, and they're going to come up with something to add to it. So it is something that you really do have to keep up to date with. The printing in Microsoft it says the entire printing subsystem for Windows 7 has been redesigned. It's gone from what's called a GDI graphics device interface to an XML type of arrangement. The difference is the way that what's called metadata, and metadata is the information about the documents, is used. It uses XML. Actually, they're using XML files for about everything anymore. But XML gives the ability to have a more complete description, to give a better product, not just in printing but in other things too that we will do. XML paper specification, the printing process, print drivers, printer management. Print drivers, no problem with that. What is a driver? What's a print driver? Driver lets you run a printer. It's the piece of software that translates between what the computer delivers and what the print process, the device itself, needs to see. So that you get the document, so you get the WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get. So that what you see on the screen is what you actually get on the piece of paper at the other end.
I was going to refer to the remark you said on the exam.
Yeah, in the eyes, through the brain, out the fingers. And part of it stays, we hope. But that's really what we're talking about here, right? And through the brain would be the print driver. Out the fingers would be sending it to the device. These devices, and when we talk about the printing process in Windows, it is a process. What they call the printer is the entire process. What you and I call the printer is the thing that we go to the store and buy, right?
A box, yeah.
It comes in a box and you go set it down and you plug it into your computer. That's what in the Microsoft world is called the print device. So the printer in the Microsoft world is the entire process. The thing that you go to the store and get is the print device at the end of that's connected to the process. And when we get to these things and we get to the slides about the printers, I'm just going to skip over them. I just want to do a demo for what they show in those slides. But sorry?
For network, right?
For network what?
For networking. Hooking up the printer for networking.
You may be, you may not be. You may be hooking it up for an individual. You may want to share it at home. How is it connected? It could be maybe still a parallel cable. Could be a USB. Could be directly plugged into the network. Each of those we want to review how to manage. The ones that are directly connected, not really a big deal. USB, generally, they tell you to install the software or plug the device in and when we tell you to, or start the software and when we tell you to, plug the device in. The other method that we're going to use is to connect simply to an IP address so that you can manage printers, and there are a lot of them that plug directly into your network, are there not? That anybody can connect to. You may not want anybody to connect to, but they are there. And that's a little bit different process. Local printing, not connected to the network. Local printing means that it is connected to the machine itself, to the what is going to become a print server, regardless of whether it's a Windows 7 machine, a Windows 95 machine, or a Windows Server 2012 machine. Once you connect it to that device, the print server service is going to be available. That's going to allow you to share and control what goes on that print device. And then we'll get into the entire process. This is one of the ones that I think, based on what I have learned since I first started Microsoft in the 90s, actually about 98, I think, was when I got my first MCSC. A local printer is anything that is attached to a computer. That would also include something that is attached to that computer via an IP address. And when I go through how you add that, we're going to add it as a local printer when we do that, using a TCP/IP address. They kind of say that and kind of don't say that in the next couple of slides. But simplicity and security, the security we connect it. If you don't share it, you're not on the network, nobody else can use it. But printers are a really big deal. Printing to a shared printer, right-click, share, and we'll go through the process of how we're going to manage permissions on these devices. Because do you want everybody to be able to print to your printer?
No.
The default, and the answer to that is no. That's exactly right. And it's particularly in a networking environment. Because you guys can print to the printer in the library that works, right? And I can print to the printer up front that's always broke. But what can you do? What can you print to? What can you not print to? When we share that, the default share when you install these things is everyone can print. There are some other things. You can manage documents or manage printers. Manage documents basically means that if you have the manage documents permission is that you can delete other people's print jobs. Manage printers means that you can shut down the printer. You can take it offline and do those sorts of things. If we have the print permission, we can delete our documents. And I say that because you can change the priorities of documents if you have the managed documents. You can move them up and down in the queue. And we'll talk about those when we go through the process. Shared printer saves money in the long run. How many machines do you run at your house? 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. How many printers do you run at your house? 1. And how do you run that printer? Local. Do you share it to the other machines? You don't? You may or may not. But if you want to print from the other machines, the only thing you got to do is share it and install it. Then the one that it's installed to locally becomes the print server that provides or serves the shared printer to everybody else. Huh? That computer has to be on, absolutely. Yes, it does. It does. So, yeah, turn the computer on and then it works. But
I've got 3 network printers. So.
You have 3 network printers. Well, I have 1 printer that's shared.
That's what I'm talking about, redundancy.
But the 3 network printers are shared, yeah. Redundancy, backing up, right? Print directly to a network printer, and these are the ones that I think I'm kind of talking about. A network printer is one that is managed, shared through a print server. When you print to the library printer, you don't print directly to it. You print to, so your job goes to the print server. And the print server then collects all those jobs and sends them out one at a time when the print device is available. When we do this, and some of the stuff that they don't really talk about in the slides here, we can have multiple printers, processes connected to a single print device. And we can give individual users, and that's one of the activities that I have for you to do, individual users, individual groups, different priorities on the print devices themselves. Or we can have an individual printer, the process, connected to multiple devices, called printer pooling. When we do that, see, I've always thought that that was a great way to take care of your physical fitness stuff, is you have print devices all over the building, especially have multiple floors, turn the elevator off. Because when you print to the multiple devices, you know which one it comes out on?
Whichever one doesn't have anything.
Whichever one doesn't have anything going at the time. Whichever one's not busy. So, see, the physical fitness is you got to run around till you find which device it came out.
No, if all of them have something going on.
It just waits. The print servers, so print server has this really important job, really big job. Says you're next. Okay. When one of the devices or the device isn't available, you're next, and sends it to the device. So it's a really big job. It sounds like it's really something really sophisticated, processing on and on and on that goes on. When it really its job is just to control the traffic, you're next. Which device? And if we have multiple devices, it would determine which device isn't busy and send it to that device. So print directly to a network printer, we don't kind of sort of do that. I think what they're talking about here is print directly to a printer that is plugged into the network. You can do that, but when I connect it, it's going to be a local printer on my device, on my computer, on my now print server. So we have basically, when you get down to it, 2 types of printers, local and network. Network printer has a print server that we connect to just like we do here in the building. We print not directly to the devices themselves, but we print to a print server. The print server then controls the print traffic. It also, the print server checks to see if you have any money left in your account, so you can put print management software there. James is chuckling. When you get there and people say, we're using too much paper, you're going to have to go find one of those print management softwares. The people, and I've got an I-class that's got a bunch of network, at least one real network administrator in it. They're trying to figure out paper control. It really is an issue. If I had my way about it, at the beginning of each month, I'd say, here's your paper for the month. When you're done, you're done.
Well, it could be very simple. All you got to do is just load the printer, and then when it's out of paper.
When it's out of paper, it's out of paper. But what they do is the print management, printer management really is a big deal in the networking world. How do you control that? Because we're all trying to get to digital documents. And when you install Microsoft, for instance, one of the things that you get, and one of the first activities that you do in this chapter is create an XPS print document. Well, it's just a matter of printing to the XPS instead of printing to a printer someplace. And it is a standard that is readable by other things. It's a standard that's kind of similar to PDF, but kind of different from PDF. Everybody's trying to do one-upsmanship. That they're trying to actually displace PDFs with the XMS documents. This just shows how we can hook these things up: the direct connected printer, the client, the shared printer on the server. The server here would be the print server when we go through these things, and this just shows on the Windows 7 one that the print server, the shared printer, doesn't have to be on a device that's running server software. It can be running in any of those things. You could really go back to Windows 95, share a printer, it would be your print server. The XPS documents, I said that wrong, didn't I? The XPS is the printer that it installs by default. XPS documents are the ones that are similar to but different from PDFs. It is a standard that you should be able to open with other devices. Sharing files, print format, these things can be handy, XPS, PDFs. Instead of trying to now print stuff, package it up, and mail it to somebody, you can send a document. And if they need a hard copy, then they can print it at the remote location. I just did that yesterday with my brother. We just have to file my mother's taxes. Well, I've got the software and I've got all of her tax history, but since he's the executor, he's got to sign it. Instead of printing the pages and packaging them up and sending them off, I could print it to a PDF, and it's not an XMS file, but an XPS file, but a PDF file, and email it to him, and he can print it, sign it, and send it to the IRS. So those kinds of document management is really what people are looking for. And when you want to save things historically, would you rather go through 800,000 sheets of paper, or tell the computer to go search for something? I mean, that's what we're really talking about in document management. What are we going to do with these things? So that type of thing is something to think about. The Windows Presentation Foundation for drawing the screen output in Windows 7. XPS is a subset of the WPF, so what it's going to do is represent what you have on the screen. The printing process, GDI-based, backward compatibility is available. EMF, enhanced meta file, is stored in the print queue. These terms are all backward compatibility to previous versions, and we're really here talking about previous to Vista, although we don't want to even mention that anymore, right? The drivers are typically PostScript or PCL. PostScript, when you see PostScript, generally you're going to think Apple. PCL, think Microsoft, typically. Now, if you have a PostScript printer, you have to have a PostScript driver. The issue with mixing drivers is sometimes the one doesn't get in, and the PostScript driver may stick in the printer, if that happens, turn it off, turn it back on so that the new driver can take effect. Over the years, one of the methods to fix printer problems is to simply turn it off and turn it back on. Let it restart, because it gets all of the stuff, that good technical term, that may have been corrupted gets restarted. Just like a computer. People leave their Windows computers on and on and on, and they get slower and draggier, and oh golly, you've got to restart those things every once in a while, because they do corrupt themselves over the course of time. Shut it down, let everything drain down, and then go back. This picture's in the book. It's basically the same chain down with different words. So over here in the Win32, the GDI prints to the API. API is Application Programming Interface. That's where everything hooks together. That's the interface that Microsoft puts out there in the software. It says, okay, here it is, standard drivers, connect different devices to it. Goes to the EMF spool. Over here, XPS prints to the API, so the GDI and then the XPS spool file or the EMF spool file. The spool file is just simply where it stores it on the disk. And when you do a print job, a Microsoft machine to a print server, first it's spooled on the local machine, then it's despooled and sent to the print server, and it's spooled there, and then when it's ready to go to the device, it's despooled and sent to the print device itself. And then we go to the GDI print driver over here. The XPS print driver goes down to the PCL or the PostScript printer, and this can go to the XPS printer, which is the XPS printer here that it shows on the XPS side is going to be a document that it will produce that you can email, do whatever you want with it, or it can go to the print device over there. Backward compatibility, I think we set all this stuff here. Backward compatibility, the GDI process. XPS, the process for the newer versions of the software itself. And this one also is in the book. This really, let's see how much we can confuse ourselves by drawing arrows back and forth and across. The only thing it's showing is that we can use either. Goes over here, the Win32 goes to the GDI print API. The GDI to XPS conversion goes to the XPS pool. Over here, the WPF Foundation XPS to GDI conversion and down that process. So there are conversions that are available to it. XPS-based printing, improved color, and this is the nice commercial here, right? It's going to look better, probably is going to be more efficient. Improved print quality, improved job configuration, device configuration, improved spooling. So what we're saying is that the new process is more efficient and it's going to give you a better rendering than the old process. Print drivers, any issue with that? If anybody ever done a print job and you get, about 673 sheets of paper with one character a page? What should that tell you? Drivers are wrong. How can that happen? In a large environment, if you don't lock down your desktops, somebody says, I found this better print driver. Let me use it. And it's the wrong print driver. That's where policies, and that's the next class, obviously, but that's where policies come in. What can your users actually change? What do you want to allow them to do that? To do on the machines themselves. Point print, when we have a network printer and you install it, the share is where the print driver comes from. In today's kind of conversion from 32 to 64-bit operating systems, that can be quite interesting. When we put in our new server, Installed the printer on it, worked great, 64-bit driver. Problem is, most of the machines around here are running 32-bit software. So now you got to go find the 32-bit drivers so that the correct driver is downloaded to your workstations. That's one of the, I guess, more troubling or niggling or whatever things that may happen to you there. The driver packages can be distributed by point and print, the printer driver installation, local printer, remote printer, network printer, or web printer. We can print across the web to servers, and we'll do that next time. It's called IPP, Internet Printing Protocol, which has some weaknesses, some issues, it's attackable. So it's really not used all that often, I don't think. Long ago, I had a question on Microsoft test. You want to print, I'm in Roanoke and I want to print a document to Richmond. How would I do it? You could use the IPP protocol to do that. And Google has that for you now, right? Google Printing. Look at that. You can't, Google Printing is Chrome. I just stumbled across it. I stumble across a lot of stuff when I'm one of those people that starts doing something and gets sidetracked, and then I forget why I was there, but I discover some other stuff that I really didn't want to know about while I'm going there. But you can share, for instance, your home printer to your Google Printing, your cloud, your Google Cloud, and you can print anywhere to your print device. That's pretty neat, huh? So you're here and you want to print something to your home printer. As long as you've got it shared, you can do that. Don't know if you can. It'd be interesting for you guys to try to see if you can share these printers and see if you can print from home to here. They don't really like that, but don't know if that's possible or not. The print management. This is where I want to stop with the slides and go into. Let's look and see what all of these things are through the printers, the print process. Go through, install them, and looking at them.